Hello, welcome everybody. Let's give people a few seconds to kind of chime in here and then we'll get started. All right, I want to go ahead and introduce myself. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kiana Dunn. I am the marketing coordinator here at DataTrends. Thank you so much for joining us live for this first roundtable. We have with us experts from DataTrends and from Netwrix. Paul Charles is our CTO here, and we also have Ilya Sachnokiv, which is the VP of Product Management at Netwrix. So Paul, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell everybody a little bit about what DataTrends does.
Hi, everybody. Paul Charles. I'm a partner and CTO here at DataTrends. We're a full-service managed provider, so we can manage all of your solutions. We can manage your Netwrix, and as well as just a normal solutions provider.
All right. Ilya?
So, hello, thanks for having me here. My name is Ilya. I am the VP of Product Management for Netwrix. We are a software vendor. We build solutions for data security that our products help customers all over the world to discover sensitive data, identify risky areas in their environment, know who has access where, and then from there, build reports and keep the audit trails of who did what, where, and when. So you not only see what are potential risks, but also get the audit trails and the ability to manage and track the changes that are happening in the environment, as well as access to that sensitive data.
Awesome. So I kind of want to start this off by going over what some of the security trends are that we saw in 2020. And Paul, if you'll start us off, what really brought Netwrix to your attention? What's going on in the world that has changed dramatically over the past year?
Yeah, most of our clients in 2020 had a need for the ability to scan the system easily and quickly and produce reports to identify bad security behavior or security holes or just full-on lapse of security in certain areas. We looked at quite a few products, came upon Netwrix, loaded up a 30-day trial of Netwrix and started generating reports, and immediately were bedazzled by the reports that we could get out of the product, which in turn helped us help our clients in their own audits. So a lot of our clients have audits from their own clients or from their insurance companies, and the reports were a nice tool for us to just be able to quickly turn that around, identify where the issues were, close up any security gaps that we had, and satisfy the needs of their client base.
Awesome.
So yeah, from our side, 2020, has been quite a ride, right? It was not the same throughout the year. So the period of anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks in March and April was the time when everyone was just trying to figure out where their head is and kind of rush into to keep the organization productive and keep the lights on and keep the employees being able to perform their duties. So there was, I would say, there was a kind of that blink or that gap in any sort of security because people were just trying to keep their companies alive. So they were kind of focused on availability, on business continuity. And a lot of decisions were made, a lot of trade-offs were made at that time to keep the companies, keep the businesses going. And people had to adopt the new ways to connect to the systems. They had to adopt the new tools, including cloud tools. I think most of the major cloud service providers like Amazon and Microsoft and Google reported huge uptake in their service usage. And the one trend that we have seen quite a lot, is the adoption of Microsoft Teams, which is on one hand great because it enables collaboration, it enables users to be productive. On the other hand, adoption of all of those new services and new ways to connect to the systems, including VPN connections, in a rush is not necessarily a good way to do that. So people and organizations basically had to implement a lot of things without thinking about what are the access policies, what are the ways to securely configure this, how do they propagate data across those systems, how do they enable access and give permissions, how do they build or extend their existing security controls over to those new systems and new ways to access the systems that they are adopting. So what we have seen, I would say, starting in mid-May probably, and then toward kind of trending into the summer, was companies starting to do exactly what Paul was describing. They were starting to assess their security posture, kind of trying to identify and realizing, hey, there are gaps that we left there, kind of building that new environment to keep the organizations going. And kind of May, June, July were probably those 2-3 months when people were trying to identify what are the biggest gaps they left in that process and kind of patching those. And then going into the second half of the year, I think a lot of the customers and a lot of the companies that I talked to in the conversations were talking about, all right, we know that we kind of fixed the most immediate gaps, but we believe there might be something else still there. And they were sort of also starting to realize that this is not a temporary measure. Like we have not moved to this new regime of working from home for a couple months or for a few months. So the second half of the year was more about, all right, it's time to kind of take a step back and actually start to plan what is the new normal, and maybe start to budget for the next year, for 2021, to properly instrument the new environment, to properly instrument the new processes, and so it is a more, I would say, a more thoughtful kind of time, and time for a more thoughtful approach to building the security controls and compliance controls into the new reality that we kind of all are in right now. So that's a very, very short kind of 2020 review.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on one thing Ilya said. Netwrix has the ability to monitor, report, and alert on both on-premise and cloud solutions. So if the data is in SharePoint or in OneDrive for Business or in Teams, it can report on who's accessed what file and when they accessed it, as well as if you have an on-premise file server or a SQL server or any other on-premise device.
Thanks, Paul. And yeah, this is actually something that we heard from a number of customers, that in this transition period, it definitely helped a lot of them to kind of extend their current processes to the new kind of hybrid or cloud environments, because they could continue to use the familiar tool across both parts of the environment, and also have a consistent and ongoing reporting and audit trails that basically combine all of those data sources, regardless of whether it is on premises or in the cloud. So yeah, thanks for bringing this up.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys both for that. I know that a lot of our clients are needing something like Netwrix specifically for the security audit side of things. So could you kind of go over how that works and what Netwrix really brings to the table with that?
So I can try to kind of give our vendor point of view on this, and then Paul can probably correct me from from the trenches, from the practitioner
Right.
position actually. So he knows how this stuff is really used. But here's how I think it is being used. Couple things actually. So there are two things. First of all, there is the visibility. You you want your organization to be secure. You probably have someone who is responsible for that, whether it is a dedicated security personnel or someone on the executive level or someone who is wearing multiple hats. We have all kinds of customers at different kind of stages of their security maturity journey, and we try to accommodate and help all of them. But in almost every case, you start with something like a policy. You have the secure use of information technology policy. You have the knowledge sharing policy. You have access policies, whatever. And so you describe and you want your users, your employees, to treat certain types of data, certain types of assets in a certain way. And the problem with that is that oftentimes these policies get written down, and sometimes they're really good policies. They spell out, what you should and what you should not do. But without a feedback mechanism, without a way to say, is this policy actually being followed? Who is doing what? Is anything happening outside of the procedures that would be driven by this policy? There is no value in that policy if you don't have that feedback mechanism, because you have no idea whether it works or not. And if you look at some of the fines and some of the some of the consequences of data breaches and any disputes around PCI or HIPAA or other regulators, you can see that actually the fines are not only for the data breach itself, but very often the fine gets more severe, or the punishment gets more severe if there is a policy and the company fails to follow its own policy. So the failure to follow your own policy means you knew what is the right thing, but you did not take steps to actually do that, right? So you didn't take the adequate steps to ensure your policy is being followed. And security auditing is your eyes and ears, basically. You don't know whether you are following the policy or not if you don't do auditing. So that's the visibility aspect of that. And then there is the very formal aspect of that. Companies are being audited, whether due to regulations or due to contractual obligations. There often are audits. We have clients that basically say, we are audited by someone, there is an auditor for one reason or the other here on site, or, pre-COVID, they had it on site. Like every 3 weeks, there is someone doing some sort of audit. And this simply takes time, right? This drags the resources. The IT team has to go and get those logs to prove something to the auditor, and then someone has to sit with the auditor, walk them through, what is in those logs or in those current settings or current configurations, explain them what means, what do you see there, and how you get meaningful information from that. So this is a dragon exercise. It takes time, it takes effort. It keeps your team from doing something that helps the business actually. So we also try to help with that by providing the reports that are human friendly, that are readable, that are consumable by the auditors, that give them very clear understanding of what are the settings here and there. Are things overexposed? Do you have any risk that should have been treated, or a proof that you don't have that risk, as well as the audit trails. So who did what, where, and when. So those are the two aspects: kind of saving time on these formal audits and saving time on answering the auditor's requests, but then also the visibility into how your policies actually work, and what is the the actual state of things and state of affairs in the environment. So that's how we see it. And Paul, I don't know if there is anything you want to
Sure.
correct.
Yeah. From the trenches, we definitely see it in those two ways. But we also leverage it to get some other features out of it. Netwrix has a dashboard, so you can kind of see your threat rating at any given time. I instruct admins that they should be looking at that at least once a day. It will show you computers that you may have removed from the network but forgot to remove from Active Directory, or who has access to someone else's mailbox, reports of that nature. I don't want to say reports, but they can be reports, but typically we don't set them up as reports. It's just kind of a live on the fly console that we check, as well as leveraging a lot of the Microsoft 365 alerting tools that are buried within 365. So for example, if Kiana were to be here in the office in Atlanta, Georgia, and log into Outlook, and then someone happens to get her email address and password, or her login and password, and logs in from, let's say, Lithuania, we should be able to get a report from Microsoft that says, hey, this is a dangerous login. There's no way she could have traveled from one location to the other. That's built into 365, but it's buried in their alerting sections. So Netwrix boils that up to the top and lets us get that information very easily, and keeps it at our fingertips.
So Paul, can you kind of walk us through, let's say one of our clients is implementing Netwrix and we get one of those alerts that there's an open door to their security somewhere. Can you walk us through what DataTrends is doing to, protect that client when that happens?
Sure. So for us, we have two flavors of Netwrix. One is just a straight up software license, right? You pay per month for your users. We give you the license. We may or may not even help you set up. It just depends what your needs are from us. In that case, you own the project, and you can always call us when you have problems, but typically it's all hands off. We also offer it in a fully managed flavor. So what we do is we have those reports that we set up email into our ticketing system. So if an alert report is triggered and it comes in, it opens a ticket on our side, and an engineer immediately starts looking at, why did we get this ticket? What's going on with this ticket? And then takes action on whether they need to contact the client and figure out what they're trying to do, or is it a true breach, and start figuring out how that person got in.
Yeah, awesome. So do either of you have, examples of things that you can share with us that kind of make it easier for people to understand how they would actually be implementing this?
Yeah, so I have a quick one, something I just thought of right here off the top of my head. I don't want to say that Netwrix is going to big brother the network, but it is logging everything you do. We're not taking screenshots and things of that nature of the user's machines, like some other systems. But we had a case where an entire folder of documents disappeared, and no one knew where they went, right? We're searching for them, can't find them. We were simply able to go into that Netwrix dashboard that I was telling you about, do a who, what, when, where, why, pick where that folder was, and it showed me everybody who had accessed that folder in the last, I filtered it down to 12 hours, and actually found where a user had accidentally dragged and dropped it and moved it from the file share on their file server to their desktop. So we were able to then quickly get that data back for them.
Yeah, we definitely had very, very similar. Well, I think almost everyone at some point in kind of their work on in Windows Explorer tried to double click a folder, and for whatever reason there was a distraction or whatever, and instead of double clicking, you kind of drag and drop it.
Yeah.
So we definitely had a few examples of that from our customers. Another one, as you were talking about, this kind of the alerts on how you you are able to go and search for something really quickly with the search interface in Netwrix Auditor. What we hear from our customers kind of again and again is that it helps them to easily respond to questions like that. Something happened. Can we figure out what happened? Or for whatever reason, HR or management is suspecting that one of the employees might be doing something wrong, and can we find out how they got access to some data they shouldn't have access to? And so we had a customer, and that's actually a story where they deal with like really sensitive material, and one of the employees basically gave an alert to their internal security team. They have like a non-IT security team because they really treat with some very, very serious important stuff. So they alerted the internal security team that one of the employees was talking about something in a water cooler conversation that was kind of in regards to a project that the person should not be able to access, and they were not part of the project, and that was something highly sensitive and highly protected. So they alerted the internal security team. That team came to IT, said, "Okay, we need to understand, was this something happening through the system, and how that person got access." And really quickly, really easily, with a like Paul just described, with a few quick search queries. And the beauty is that search interface allows you to do iterations. So you run the query, you can kind of tune it based on the results. You can actually use it in the context and say, oh, I want to see more events like this, or I want to exclude events like that. So you quickly narrow in on on that answer that you need. And so they were quickly able to identify not only how and when that person got to that data, but also how they got access to that data. And there was just a flaw in their approval system, in the way how they allowed or disallowed access to certain folders. So they made a change to their change management process as a result to make their environment more secure. So not just dealt with the incident itself, but also used that knowledge that they were able to quickly get from the system to improve their security posture and to prevent something like this happening again. So that's the kind of things that we help with.
Yeah, that's so relevant, especially with work from home. Nowadays, people aren't necessarily thinking about how many new doors they've just opened into their company's data, where beforehand you had to be, on premise in the office to access this. People are accessing it from all over the world. So it's really important to be thinking about the security measures that they need to take to safeguard themselves.
Yeah, especially with cloud-based solutions.
Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. So do you guys have any 2021 predictions? Where do you see the data security going, the, different attacks that are coming up, or, compliance audits?
So in 2020, I had predicted that we would see a really large rise for security concerns within our client base. Then in March, we all got locked down, and everybody was scrambling for, how do we still make money and have everybody work from home? And some of those concerns got pushed to the side, in my opinion. I think 2021, everybody's going to kind of realize, and I think a lot of our clients have already mentioned to us, that they're not going to go back to a norm, right? They're going to now allow people to work remotely a lot more than they did in previous years, previous to 2020. So we now need to have a tool in place to monitor access to this secure data, easily and better monitor the systems and user accounts that we have in place at clients. And as well as we've all seen all the breaches and all the, everybody here has gotten something from some African nation that they've won the lottery, and we need to be able to stop all these phishing attempts and and know when someone has fallen to one of these phishing attempts easily. So I think the moral of the story for 2021 is going to be security logging, security auditing, know what's going on with the network as far as security goes at all times, and be able to set up triggers and alert. I foresee that our clients' insurance companies for their cyber insurance are going to start laying down the law and require these alerts and not the alerts, but the audits even more regularly than they already are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally agree. So, we actually published the security kind of trends and predictions report back in December as a company, and one of the things that we are seeing, one of the trends is exactly that. Kind of stricter regulations, more security audits, and the cyber insurance companies are driving better security and adoption of the security fundamentals, because the insurance premiums will be higher for if you don't adopt the practices that are that are making yours more secure and are reducing your risk, basically. And insurance companies are good at one thing: calculating risks. So if they tell you to do something, probably this is a good idea to do that. And then from the regulations perspective, we see that a lot of companies that have never been regulated are seeing more pressure, because they have never dealt with financial data or with health information or whatever, but with the adoption of the privacy legislation, everyone now has regulated data. And we know that in a number of states, the privacy laws were kind of, the bills were there on the floor being discussed, but they were kind of put aside because they were higher priority, more urgent issues with the pandemic. But this is not going away. They will get back to those bills. There will be more regulation in this space. I know that these conversations are resuming in a number of states. California just passed their kind of next evolution of CCPA, so they voted for, I think, CPR8 is now in November. So this is getting more and more serious. There are more funds towards actually establishing the authorities and regulating bodies that will be enforcing these regulations as well. So that's all the buzz happening there. So companies that did not have to think about kind of compliance and being regulated for data security now are forced to think about this. And frankly, not everyone has the expertise, the budget, the staff to do that on their own. So they are definitely turning to the experts, to the managed service providers like you guys for help and guidance, and they need the tooling. So I think we are in a good position to help those companies to make sense of all of that, and to be in a more secure position going forward.
Awesome, thank you. Before we kind of wrap up, I want to kind of reach out to our audience. If anybody has any questions, please let us know. We are giving away a $50 gift card that's kind of based on participation. So ask away, comment, like, share the posts. And then to finish up, Ilya, I know that Netwrix is going through a merger right now. Do you want to give us a crash course? What does that mean for your clients in the future?
Yeah, thanks for that, Kiana. So we announced 2 weeks ago, we announced the merger with the company called StealthBits Technologies. They are somewhat similar to us, a software vendor in data security space. We are providing similar set of tools, however, for a little different target audiences. So where Netwrix has been traditionally more focused on the ease of use, out of the box, ready to use answers. Stealth Bits was focusing more on deeper expertise, threat analytics, or higher level of flexibility and configuration, and typically larger customers as well. So together we are able to leverage the expertise from both sides of the new combined entity to build a great portfolio that will fit pretty much any client, regardless of their size, regardless of where they are in their security maturity journey. And we are definitely looking towards this combined portfolio where we can bring the best of both worlds, ease of use and the depth of the expertise to all of our clients.
Awesome. All right, well, it doesn't look like we have any questions, and our time is kind of up. So thank you guys both so much for taking the time out of your day to be here. And thank you to our audience for taking some time out of your day to be here. If you have any questions or want to learn more about this, you can email us at info@datatrends.net, and we will get back to you. We are going to be picking the winner of the $50 gift card, and we'll be getting back to you tomorrow to let you know who that was. So
I hope it's me.
I'm not sure we're eligible, Paul, but I wish you luck on that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, and have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Kiana. Thanks, Ilya. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.